Welcome to season 2 of Demystifying Self-Publishing. I'm your host, Alyssa, and today's guest is Nataly Restokian, multi-award-winning author, former television journalist and host, and one of the first female public figures from Lebanon and the Arab world to break cultural silence through English language fiction in the West. With nearly 2 decades in media, she stepped away from fame to reclaim truth, love, and identity. Her internationally awarded novel, Masks, exposes the hidden realities behind glamour, power, and success, giving voice to stories many are afraid to tell. Nataly is also a certified life and wellness coach and a passionate advocate for women finding themselves beyond the roles they were assigned. Nataly, thank you so much for being here today.
You gotta make me cry, Alyssa. I mean, it's like, really? Wow, she's so awesome. Thank you, Alyssa, for having me. It's such an honor, you know. I say amen to God and to my Jesus Christ for giving me this opportunity to be strong and sharing this platform with you. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we are so thrilled to have you here. For those that don't know, you were one of our OG authors. Monica, our head of marketing, she talks about the early days of Tellwell and how you were one of the authors that she worked with personally. And so this is a really fun full circle moment, and we're so grateful that you're joining us today.
Thank you. I just want to, before continuing, I just want to say thank you, Tellwell, for being such an awesome and devoted and honest publishing company. And even though I was one of the first authors publishing my first book, now I've published my second book. And I just say thank you for being honest and so professional and supportive. And they haven't changed, even though they're growing immensely around the world. But it says so much about you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to pass that along to our team, who will be so overjoyed to hear that feedback as well. Now, for listeners who are just meeting you, how do you usually describe who you are now? Not your resume, but the woman behind it.
I'm very stubborn when it comes to my ambitions. I like to learn and study a lot. I have been dork my whole life. I had been bullied at school when I was young, before being celebrity in the Arab world and Lebanon. Uh, I love shopping. I love perfumes. Um, I love to be up to date fashion. I love my husband a lot. Um, and my main topic in life is that I concentrate on myself rather than others. And I think that we always have to learn. And coming from an atheist background, now that I'm a Christian, I'm accepted Jesus. I study Bible immensely, but I don't stop there. I always have questions. I go back to history. Everything I doubt, I do my own homework. And I don't usually listen to people's opinion if they're not very interesting people in my life, because I say everybody has something to say about you. So before listening to what is being said about you, see who those people are, what is their motives, and what kind of role they have played in the world. And that says about a lot about the way that I write my novels, I think, and the choices I make in my personal life. And I think it's a tip for others if they doubt. Just be yourself, and your choices, let them be aligned with the words you use.
Absolutely. Now, when you look back at your life, do you see one clear turning point, or was there a series of quiet awakenings that led you to where you are presently?
Coming from a background of being born and living in Arab world, and where I survived the civil war. And it's something that people watch on TV, but I actually lived that. So I was there in shelters, bomb shelters, not having showers over 40 days, crossing. There was a political war between the Muslims and the Christians, and then the political parties among each other. I lived that for 33 years. So coming from that background and being Armenian from Eastern Europe, born there in Lebanon, and becoming um, somebody who was an actress and a TV show entertainer on the Arab screen, I think that it just strengthened me to see that in every stage of your life, there has to be a turning. So it has been a couple of points. The Civil War was affected on me uh, positively, not negatively, because I don't freak out when the electricity is off in Canada. It doesn't freak me out when the Wi-Fi is gone, and that strengthened me. And when I became somebody who was on the screen, it just showed me that not everything which is shiny is beautiful and diamond. And it was a dream for me. It became an ambition, a reality. And I decided to walk out of that life because it was too much for me. Because a lot of women just look at it like, oh, it's amazing. She's been there doing. I say, look what price you have to pay to be there. And that's why I decided to write my first novel. And because we don't dare to speak up, even till today, you see people who are on screen, they usually say what it's best for people to hear them say, because we're scared to lose what we have. So my second turning point is, after becoming a part of that celebrity world, to give up on all that and move to Canada, because the one I loved is uh, Lebanese origin, Nidal. His name is Nidal, but he was raised here in Canada. So I had to give up all of that to be with him and start from scratch my life. And that's why the third point was like, okay, you have to put this on paper. And that's when out of nowhere, I get to know that there is a company called Tellwell, and they are very small. In 2018, they're starting with Tim and a small group of people, Monica and the rest. And they were very patient with me. And that was my turning point. Like, can I tell my story to the world? May I able to do that? And sometimes we say that, oh, some people have courage, others don't. No, we have everything in us. As a life and wellness coach, I tell to my clients all the time, you have to turn your brain to a mindset that you are strong, you have it in you, but you make the choice either to use that or to go to fear. And even in the Bible, it says 365 times the word fear not, fear not. How many days are there in the year? 365 days. So it's like, because there is something, because the fear pulls us back. I don't want to publish my book. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to do that. But fear is just an emotion. You just put it away, push it away, and you just say like, I can do this. So this was a turning point. And the last turning point was my second novel. I can say like now that I published with you again. I don't want to go anywhere else. You're my publishing family, if I may say, Tellwell. So it was another turning point, because the book that I wrote now, which is the continuation, the sequel of Masks, Her Masks and His Truth, it's also very daring. And I think it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. And I see the world from different angle, because now people who has seen me on TV, like, she's not a part of us anymore. And then people who are Christians, like, why is she here? She doesn't belong here. And my family, like, she has lost her mind. And others like, why is she writing a novel? The point is that, Alyssa, every time that we see people around us looking at us in a weird way, is the change is in us. But how happy we are with the change, because we're never going to be able to please everyone.
That's powerful. And it's a wise reminder for people to put the fear aside and to remember that, the opportunity to pursue and overcome is already within them. And I think just putting the noise around them to the side is something that's challenging for people. And it's a good reminder when you see other people who are able to do that, that we too have the capability of overcoming that fear. Now, we've chatted a little bit about your history. You've been a journalist, an actress, a TV host, you're an author and a coach. There have been multiple moments, as you identified, where you realized maybe that you had outgrown the life that you were living. And the central theme and word that is kind of all-encompassing is mask. So when did you realize that you felt like you were wearing one, and what happened when you finally took it off?
Mm. When I was I was on TV. I wore a mask because there was two lifestyles, and one was like to show who I have to be in front of the camera, and then who I really was. And that was a mask I had to wear, like most female public figures in the Arab world. I'm not talking about the West. I don't know anything about them, but I'm talking about my experience of 17 years. So let's say that mask was very heavy to wear, even though it looks like a gold mask, because it's glamorous with everything
Mm.
around you, very comfortable lifestyle. That was the mask that was very heavy for me to wear. And the second mask was that I was very unhappy in my personal life. I had a very a sad marriage, my first marriage, let's say. And I always say to people, I say, I don't encourage divorce. I don't encourage people to go and do whatever they want in their lives, but I encourage a happy life. And sometimes you have to know where to step and say, no, this is not for me, and move on. And it is very important also to recognize our faults and mistakes. If you read my book, you will see that I talk about my mistakes out loud under the using the character of Anna. And because if you don't recognize that there are mistakes, you cannot fix them in your second marriage. That's why I don't have a perfect marriage now, but I have a very happy marriage because I have learned from my mistakes. It takes two for tango. So I don't wear that mask anymore because I'm very comfortable with Nidal. I love him, and we have a happy marriage of 18 years. And he's my best friend, and I love him a lot. And I tattooed his name here, even though he said, "Why did you do it?" So I said, "Yeah, I should be in Europe." I said, "So what? I want you here too." So, and Elisa, everybody wears a mask, and at somehow when you get rid of the most complicated masks in your life, then you feel free. So now I feel free. I say out loud my words as I want, but of course with respect, because there's a thin line between disrespecting others, being vulgar and hurting them, and being honest, because people just go around and hurt others. Like, I'm being honest. No, you're not. You're hurting the other person. We have to be very careful how to choose our words, and where is that line that differentiates a person from being disrespectful to others and hurtful because they are intending to do a relief or feeling superior to others, or really being honest just because they want to feel free. It's about you. It's not about others. So um, I do my best to be careful, not to not to cross that line.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about that because there are some challenging themes within the book. What first made you decide you were going to take this lived experience and put it onto paper for the world to see? And did you realize in that moment exactly how honest and raw it was going to be? And was there a scene or a theme that you hesitated to include because you knew it might make people feel uncomfortable?
Honestly, I didn't think about anybody, but while I was writing the book, I wasn't even intending to write a book. And for me, when I was writing my first book, financially, I wasn't even able to publish it. So I had to sell my the car that I had in order to pay for the expenses. But why I'm telling you this, because when you have in your mind to publish a book, at least you will have a budget aside, right? I was just putting down my thoughts on paper because it was somehow I was in Canada. I was having a happy marriage with my husband. And it was like I wanted to get rid of my demons, if I may, to feel free. So, because I was a journalist, I used to write articles. It was easy for me to write them down. But even though I used to write them in Arabic, now I had to write them in English. So, I was writing them down just to get rid of my pain. When you put something on paper, or you say it out loud, you feel like you are getting over them because you're starting to confess them. And then I started thinking about why don't I publish it? And people around me, couple of people like, yeah, why don't you do it? I'm like, how am I able to do it? And that's when I decided to publish it as a book. But actually, I wasn't even thinking about anything else except putting my pain on paper. And even my second book, it's about my worries, because I just put myself in other people's shoe. I say like, how do they see this? How they might see that? And being a life and wellness coach, it helped me a lot. After I became certified coach, that it is very important not to just say things out loud, just to see things from other people's perspective. How might they see it? So that's how I write all my books. Even my third book, I'm gonna write like that, not just taking into regard other people's um, emotions, but most of the time, if I may say, truth is never gonna make people happy. But at least you give them the truth, and you go and say, go and check it for yourself. So my second book is so much more powerful than the first one, and I didn't even realize that I'm able to do it. And because it goes deeper, and it is a very big responsibility when we as authors are writing books, because we are not putting things on social media just like everyone now, because this is not a competition. You have to know where you stand, what you have to offer to the world. It's like making people think when you have hundreds of thousands of followers, you are changing people's lives. No, because you have to see who your followers are and what are they doing. And so if I have 100 followers who are intellectual people who are reading my book, for me, it's very important, because I am able to change their lives, because they're looking through the things that I'm writing, because they need to change something in their lives. And that's how I write my novels. I'm very careful, because I'm going to go into their minds, into their houses. And if I'm going to change their lives, it comes with a responsibility. Am I ready to pay the price? If they ask me a question, am I able to answer them? So that's how I write my books.
You know, we often talk about the connection and the human side of authorship and the human side of community. The idea that an engaged and small community that is made up of your ideal audience is far superior to a mass audience that isn't interacting, isn't purchasing your book, isn't taking the workshop or signing up for a class. And so you mentioned, you know, the difference between an influencer who maybe has a large audience versus an author or a coach like yourself who has 100 invested people, and the change that you can make having that invested audience. And I think that that's really powerful and important for people to pay attention to, because we can get so lost in this idea of, I need to grow, I need to build this following. You can build the following all day, but if it's not aligned with your ideal audience and the people who can receive and use the information that you're pouring out through your book, then there is a misalignment. Hey listeners, if you've been enjoying the show, I'd love it if you'd take a moment to leave a quick review. It helps more writers discover the podcast and lets us know what you'd like to see more of. Your words matter on the page and in the reviews. Thanks for supporting our community.
Exactly. And Alyssa, the thing is that when you are writing a book, for example, when I wrote my first book and then the second book, people who are buying the book, they are writing reviews on Amazon. So they are connecting with me. And it's very interesting, because people who are my fans, some of them now, they are my friends. So, and I say that because I am changing their lives, not because I am better than anybody else, because I decided to put down things that have changed my life or strengthened me, or to learn from my mistakes and to give it to them. So when you see an influencer, people are gonna go there because they're gonna laugh. So just like my father, who passed away in end of September, he used to say, a lot of people look at you, but you have to see why they're looking at you. What is the motive? And that's why I say, don't be encouraged by the numbers, because in the end, they are going to come to the authenticity, to the thing that they need. And are they interacting? Are they buying your books? Are you changing their lives? How are you able to help them grow? Because the change in people's lives is when you, as an author, are making a difference in the world.
Absolutely. I think that that's incredibly valid. And I think just paying attention to this idea of the impact that you're having through authorship and through sitting down and intentionally pouring out that pain and the cathartic feeling that you're experiencing, but also how you're healing or changing the lives of those
Yeah,
who are consuming your content. And we
yeah,
have, you know, as you mentioned, there's such a need for instant gratification in today's world. And at the end of the day, it really does come back to authenticity and relatability and how people resonate with what it is that you're putting out. So I think that that's important to note. Now, were there any reactions to your book that surprised you the most?
yes. The first book, when I wrote it, my mom was very upset at the time. Like, you wrote about your life? I'm like, okay, but it's not all true. I mean, it's based on true life events, but she was very angry at the time. And I believe that she never read it. She passed away also in December. So when I was publishing this book, I'm so grateful because Tellwell was so understanding, because my father died in September and my mom died in December. So in between, I was like, okay, my book is coming out. I talked with my project manager, my marketing manager, but Tellwell was very understanding. So it was a very big surprise coming from my mom. The second surprise was I never expected that I would get 2 awards for my first book, especially in the United States, even though it was COVID time, because I didn't have a lot of places to go and visit. So I became among the 11 finalists in Washington. I mean, it was like over 160,000 books around the world. And then I got the Golden Award in LA from Literary Titans. So it was very wow for me. It was an amazing moment. And when I wrote my second book, it was very shocking because I don't know, there's a bill that came up in Canada recently after the COVID. I don't know, it's like you have to be very careful about the story and about group of people, community. So I didn't know about it. So I finished the book and I was like, yes, contacting Teller, we're gonna publish it. So I before sending it, you send guys to me. I think Robert, he sent me the contract. So I sent it to my lawyer for them, and he's an amazing lawyer. He's like he keeps up with me, so it means he's amazing. He's very patient. I said to him, Fordham, check this contract. He said, yeah, but we read your novel. There are things you have to change. I say, why? He says, because you are writing direct things and specific things and certain things that you have to change. I'm like, really? So we had to go 260 pages reviewing the whole book again and taking it to another editor to change everything so that it aligns with that bill in Canada. And I'm like, if we don't have freedom of speech, what do we have? But we know that we are going to be silenced completely very soon. So that was very shocking for me. And it took me like 2 or 3 months again. But that was very shocking. That was very shocking.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm not sure if you were there during the fireside chat that Tim had with Adam Zatella about censorship and the conversation around his book called That Book is Dangerous. And it has a lot to do with books that have been banned or books that are blocked from being published due to the type of information that's within them. And so I definitely think we're going to be seeing more conversations around that. But that's so interesting that those were your experiences. Now, I want to take a step back because you mentioned these awards that your book,
Yes.
your first book, received. And there is such a misconception about self-published authors and books that are self-published and their eligibility for awards. I think so many people think that if their book is not traditionally published, that they are not eligible, and people don't recognize their books in the same way. So can you talk a little bit about
Yeah,
what the
sure.
awards process was like for you?
Yeah, the thing is that a lot of people, they just have, just like in the celebrity world, I just take it from my experience. When you say that, oh, I'm an actress, they think that because you're talented, more talented than the others, then they choose you. No, they choose you because you have to have certain criteria. So I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not attacking people who are not self-published. I respect them and I have great respect to them, but I'm just telling how the world is going now and changing. So it doesn't mean that everybody who is on screen, they're so much more talented than women or girls who are sitting at home. But first, because they got the opportunity, maybe by accident, or because they were there at some point, the right person at the right time, and also because they are ready to give in for a lot of things that others would say no. And these are the things I lived. I'm not giving an opinion. Everything I say based on my own experience, life experience. So it's the same thing when it comes to books, because it doesn't mean if you are self-published, you're not talented. Maybe because you don't want to wait, or maybe because, like me, you don't know how not to do self-publishing. But also at the same time, once you do it, you know that you are your own boss. And even we see a lot of self-published books who had become movies. And the idea is that when I was trying to go to to publish my book, I didn't even know how to publish a book. And that's when I found, guys, that you were the best, because every step of the way you were teaching me. So I want to take this opportunity to say this point to all who want to write, but they are not authors and they think that it's hard and challenging. Well, Tellwell is your best place to be, because they will be with you every step of the way. So regarding the awards thing, I was going online and I'm seeing like, they're saying award places, self-publishing. So I applied and I sent my book and I had no expectations. And it just happened that I'm not gonna lie, I applied to 4 places, and 2 of them I got awards, 2 of them I didn't. So it doesn't mean that my world is perfect, and I'm not saying that I am a better author than others. All I'm saying that when you are self-published, it doesn't mean that you don't have opportunities, and the opposite is correct. When you are doing like you are publishing with a literary agent, it doesn't mean that everything is going to go your way. And now that there's a lot of competition, I think that it is harder for them to do it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be more successful. You are valuable. I say to everybody that we can be authors if we have a story to tell, and there is only one of you, because your environment, your background, your emotions, your experience, it's only you. God has created each one of us in a unique way, and if we just push aside everything else in the world and we concentrate on ourselves, not only you can be an award-winning author, you can be a self-published author that even when you go from this world, you may leave behind, how can I say, a
A
mark.
legacy. Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I want to chat about the second book and what
you really want to go there?
Well, I want to talk about your process. I want to talk about your writing process, and I want to talk about how the season of writing was different for you for that second book versus the first book.
Oh, it was very challenging, because when I wrote the first book, I had no expectations. And now, when I'm writing the second book, I'm thinking like, what if this book is not as good as the first one? What if this book is worse? What if this book doesn't get awards? What if nobody likes the book? And I had to go through 3 editors for my second book. 3 editors. Can you imagine? Like, I'm freaking out. And I go back to my lawyer. For them, what are we going to do? Like, it's okay. Just send it to Tellwell. And I stopped the editing twice. I stopped the publishing twice, because even online things, there were problems. I don't know. The editing, the non-edited one was sent to publishing. A lot of challenges happened, more than the first one. And the second one is deeper. And when I put the 2 of them, I'm like, wow, I have grown so much. But I realized that I wouldn't have done the second book if I wouldn't had dared to do the first one. And you see that it is harder. Why? Because I am trying to bring the characters from the first novel to the second one. So I have to mention it in a way that even if people miss out reading the first book, they will be okay reading the second one. And
Right.
the difference is like very shocking, because now Christians are interested to read my second book. I'm like, don't go to the first book. It's erotic. And it is harder for me because I had to change the characters in a way that how these characters are evolving and realizing, because the characters are growing with me, they
Mm,
are changing with me. I am giving them a new perspective in their decisions in the second book, and it was so challenging. And when I finished, like, and people started reading and they started writing um, reviews, because it recently came out, the book, without the press release yet,
yeah.
and the world doesn't know it's there, and only a couple of people who know me, they bought the book, and others who are buying, I don't know them who they are, but they're like, oh, this is awesome, and now they want to go and read the first book, and I just prepared them, like, don't be shocked, there's a difference. And but I think it is also very interesting is that the characters in the second book are so much like the present me.
Mm,
Anna is so much more than like me, because if you go to my first book and you see my life in where I was in Lebanon, how it changed, you see that in the first book. If you see me now, recently, after writing my second book, after changing my lifestyle, my perspective, my interest in life, I even go now to prisons, and I connect with prisoners, Prison Fellowship of Canada. I work with them, a volunteer job here as Christian. So all of this changed a lot in me. So I look at Anna in the book, like, she's changed there. And then I realize, oh, I created that character. She definitely is going to be changing. And the third
absolutely.
one is going to be too. So I think authors have to be very careful, and I give them this tip: don't stand where you are, and if a book is successful, don't stay on the same level. It's okay to jump and take a leap to go somewhere else. Otherwise, your readers will be bored,
Mm.
because you are growing. Let your characters grow. Let your stories change, because with every season in your life, your stories have to evolve and change and grow, so that people will learn with you. They will walk with you, because your fans are going to be interested to see what's next. So always bring them the what's next, not like, oh, it's the same thing going on a straight line, the same. I don't agree with that.
People want the character development. They want the arc. They want the depth. They don't want the flat characters. That is great advice. Speaking of advice, what advice would you give to authors who feel overwhelmed by the business side of writing? So, talking about things like the sales, the marketing and promotion, and maybe even how you leverage your book into things like speaking opportunities and that kind of thing.
Mm. The thing is that, for me, business wise, uh, when you publish a book, expect the least. You have to publish it not because you want to make money. You have to publish it because you have something to say, because you have the talent, and also uh, everybody has to know your story, because it will change lives. When you have this perspective, your expectations will be less. When your expectations are less, it doesn't make you less ambitious. It makes you uh, less shocked and more motivated to continue, because you weren't expecting financially anything. So from my books, I don't expect anything financially, because I think that authors have to know is that writing books is a gift. I am writing in my fourth language, and my first book got 2 awards, and I did it by selling my car. I had no expectations or experience. And my second book is not even didn't have the press release. It's very important to know that you can do it too. But the speaking engagement in person is very important for you to use your audience. For me, if you know who your audience is, then you will target them. When you target your audience, it will be easier coming up events or knowing people, or just putting yourself out there for free and doing these speaking engagements. Then other doors will open. So it doesn't matter if 10 people are there um at the speaking engagement, or thousands of people, or hundreds. Just be humble, just say okay, and be there, and you will see that people uh, will help you. There is still good in the world.
Absolutely. Now, You have worked in education and marketing and media and coaching. Looking back, how do you think all of those skills quietly prepared you for authorship?
I think when you go through different phases in your life, it's like diamond. Not diamond, I'm a diamond. I'm giving the example of diamond because when you see the diamond raw, it's like a piece of stone. But it takes time to sharpen it. It takes time, to evolve and change. And I think that when you go through phases in your life, like I was a teacher and then actress, TV show entertainer, agent, life coach. I studied nursing and I got my diploma here in Canada. So all of these things give you perspective, not only how to write, but to be engaging with those group of people. I mean, I was born and raised in the Islamic world. So coming from there, even though they are Christians, I see how Islam think. And coming here to the West, see how everything is a taboo for them. Oh, don't say this word. It's humiliating. Don't do this. They're very careful. They're more sensitive. But over there, we are tougher because we don't have a choice. So being a survivor, it just helps you to understand not only how to write things and put your own experience, but if you concentrate who your audience you want them to be, who to read your book, then you will see it from their perspective. For example, if I'm writing a book and I want people who dream of being celebrities their whole life, and they are wasting their money and their time and their energy for like, why wouldn't I be famous? Why I wasn't famous? I needed to be there. All this pain that women have when I just look at these people, because I'm a life coach and I have dealt with women like that. So I know that how to write things in the book in order to make them understand that's not everything. My trick to become an author, not trick, let's say a gift that I used, is that I put these things in a positive way. And I put what I learned from these things.
Hmm.
Even if people have one kind of life, like they say, oh, my life is not interesting like Natalie's life here in Canada. What can I write about? You're wrong. Even if you go outside and you are challenging the snow, it's something that I never did. Even if you have a child who was drug addicted, or you worried not to be drug addict, and you're protecting this child in a public school, that's a challenge. Everything is a challenge. What you have, when you concentrate on it, you can make a story out of it. And
Hmm.
you never know how impressive it would be to others. I didn't expect people to love my books.
I think we often forget that our own experiences or areas of expertise, they may seem so familiar to us that they lose interest almost. But as soon as we
Exactly.
as soon as we share and open up to other people who don't share the same lived experiences or the same expertise or skill set, it's still very much of interest and desirable information for those people. And so I think we need to give ourselves more credit and realize that lived experience is worth sharing and the perspective is worth sharing as well.
Yeah, because the most important thing for us as women, if you look to people who are growing old, what do they want? If you watch them carefully, they want to be needed.
Mm.
You see a grandma saying, okay, I cook this, come and visit me, do this. Why? Because they want to be needed. So you have to know, as an author or an author to be, that you are needed. Somebody out there needs to hear your story. And it's about how you write it, how you put your words and put yourself in their shoe. Just think for a moment. If you are a mother who has a child who has to put in a public school, how did it all start? You take that as a start and you start writing like that, not your experience, just from your perspective. If I'm going to come and tell you like, uh, do you know how it means to be in the Arab world? I wouldn't say, oh, it's hard. No, no, no. I just put myself in your shoe. I see the similarities between me and you. First, you're a woman like me. Second, uh, uh, you have an understanding that East is different than the West. So I have two key points to start somewhere. So any author who wants to write, they have to see you have to see the key points, the similarities, the minor similarities. Then you use them to put your experience and to satisfy their needs. And when you start like that, you will know that there's a story to tell, but the way to help others.
I think that is a really great place to end this conversation. We are about to shift over to our last segment, The Plot Thickens, which is a user-generated question segment. So for those that are listening, please be sure to follow us at Tellwell Publishing on Instagram. I go there and I post to our stories and allow for our audience to submit questions for that week's podcast guest. So the question that we received for you, Nataly, is...
Okay.
Don't worry, you don't need to be fearful.
Yeah.
Has writing and coaching healed parts of you you didn't even know that you needed?
In order to coach others, it starts from me. So that's why I say, when you are going to a life coach, look at their lives. I cannot teach you how to swim in a pool if I've never been there. That's why I engage with my clients. I say, from the background and the experience that I have, add it to your diploma, to your certificate, to your degree. It's very important to see that person's lifestyle. It's like when you see somebody who's a doctor and advising you what to eat, and they're always sick. How can you go to that doctor? So it starts from you. So because I say to women, I say, I have been in the ocean, so I can help you to swim in the pool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for joining us today for this conversation, Nataly. I've really enjoyed it. And for those that are listening, where can they find you? Where can they follow for news of book 2 and 3?
Yeah. Well, you can follow me. You can find me on my website, Nataly Restokian. NatalyRestokian.com. It's NATALYRESTOKIAN. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on social media. When you type my name, it's there. And of course, also with Tellwell. And my book, Her Masks and His Truth, I believe that very soon the trailer is going to come out once the audiobook is accepted by Amazon in a couple of days. And I believe that a lot of people will understand that it's not about your own courage. It's the courage that our Heavenly Father gives us. And don't be scared of anything. If you have something to say, go for it, say it, because there are a lot of people who will stand by you. And I thank Tellwell and I thank Team. Team is an amazing person, and all of you. I mean, you, Monica, Alisa, everybody, and you are so amazingly supportive. And it's such not a pleasure, an honor to be publishing with Tellwell. Just stay how you are. Please don't change.
Oh, you're so kind. I know our team is going to be so happy when they hear this episode, and the feedback will mean so much to them. So thank you for your kind words. And we're very excited to see what's next for you, and keep an eye on how book number 2 performs as well. For those who are listening, please be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, or you can check out our YouTube channel and watch the full episode there. If you enjoyed this episode and any others, taking the time to leave a review means a lot and helps this podcast get discovered as well. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thinking about self-publishing but not sure where to start? That's where Tellwell Publishing comes in. We offer assisted self-publishing services to help you bring your book to life your way. From editing and design to marketing and distribution, Tellwell's team works with you to create a book you'll be proud of while you keep creative control. From Lamar Jackson and Cindy Cherry to Kaya Usher and Rita Kakati Shah, Tellwell has helped thousands of authors publish their book with confidence. Visit tellwellpublishing.com to start your journey.